Okay, we'll make a start. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for taking the time this afternoon to participate and listen to our webinar on Office 365, and also with Dynamics CRM and how the two work together. First of all, as far as introductions are concerned, my name is Guy Riddle. I'm a solution architect at eSavvy, and I'm also a Microsoft Dynamics CRM MVP. So I've actually been working with CRM since for the past 10 years or so now, so a little bit of a veteran at all the prior releases of the product. I'm actually also going to showcase as part of this, I'll do a little bit of a demonstration as part of this session, and for any of you who haven't actually seen the CRM 2013 interface, I'll actually show you that as well as part of the demo. Okay, so let's get started and stuck into the actual body of the presentation. So first of all, I often get people asking me, about so how does Microsoft compare to say Google in the and also Amazon in terms of Microsoft's participation, investment, commitment, whatever you want to call it, into cloud-based services. Well, as you can see from the slide I've got up here, Microsoft are investing an awful lot of money and commitment in terms of dollars, people, services, around moving to effectively cloud-based services. So there are Microsoft have data centers globally. So for us in Australia here right now, the closest data center that we have, the regional one, is based in Singapore. There's another one in Hong Kong. There are two in the US, and there are two in Europe as well at the moment. And Microsoft have announced that they will be opening a data center in Australia within the next year to 18 months. So there's going to be some local-based cloud services available. Now, Microsoft haven't actually said exactly what will be available locally here in Australia yet. I guess that will be an evolution process that over time they'll start off with some services and then increase it to incorporate other services as well. So I guess that's a watch this space kind of headline there. In terms of their commitments, not just on the investment side, but in terms of trying to deliver quality and high level of operational experience for you as customers or for anybody using their services, they have what they call federated operation centers 24/7. So basically a lot of their data centers are linked up for basically disaster recovery and high availability and redundancy. So they're trying to ensure that people don't go effectively offline from an experience point of view. A lot of their data centers have been certified for FISMA and ISO compliances as well. But one of the nice things, or key things, anyone looking at the Microsoft business services perspective, is that they offer a 99% uptime. Now, a lot of other services like Amazon will offer those, but Microsoft is a financially backed SLA, so you can actually put in claims should you find that there are ever a situation where you actually experience any downtime due to issues or problems within the data center and your service becomes unavailable at the data center layer. So first of all, we'll just touch on what the various products are. So a lot of people often ask me, so what do you get as part of Office 365? Is it just Office, or is it just Exchange, or what is it that you actually get? So from a I guess a core service offering, there's four key components. There's Exchange, there's Link, there's Office, and there's SharePoint as well. Now, you don't necessarily have to have all of these. There are various plans and programs and SKUs that Microsoft have that make these available either as a set, i.e. as a bundled offering, or some of them can actually be taken individually, or there could be a collection of them, depending upon what it is that you're trying to achieve from a business point of view. So for Exchange Online, we're finding that a lot of customers today are, certainly from an IT perspective, seeing that mailboxes are really something that they don't want to have to continue to maintain internally, and especially as some organizations have very restrictive levels of amount of storage that they provide to users. So for example, I know half a dozen customers where they're limited to a 1 gigabyte mailbox, and they have to constantly move things to personal folders, or they get archived off in archiving routines. You know, one of the things is with Exchange Online is that you get a 25 gig mailbox. Also, for some of their enterprise-grade Office 365 offerings, you also get a 25 gigabyte archive mailbox included as part of the price. So there's an awful lot of storage available, and suddenly you find organizations don't have to worry about maintaining what is almost a commodity in terms of mailboxes. With Link, those of you who don't know what Link is or haven't used Link yet, it's basically corporate-grade messaging capability. So it's taking over from what MSN Messenger used to be, or Yahoo Messenger, for those of you who remember the Yahoo one. This is the corporate-grade communicator. So it's a collection of tools and utilities that's incorporated in Link. So, for example, you get the Instant Met or the chat capability. You also get video conferencing and the ability to run webinars with it. You can do video calling, and there's also the capability to link your PABX to a cloud-based PABX service, to the Link service. And in which case you don't have to have a PABX system in your office. You can actually click to dial directly from Link, and it will follow you anywhere, whether you're in the office, on your laptop, whether you're on your mobile phone. It will just follow wherever you are. Now, that might all sound very nice and easy. To set it up on-premise, I know a couple of organizations that have set Link up on-premise within enterprise organizations, and it takes quite a bit of effort to get it to be federated, i.e. to be able to externally make some customers, partners available to communicate with you via Link. That takes quite a lot of work and infrastructure, and of course with the online Office 365 offering, that's all built in. SharePoint as well. SharePoint is there. Most of you will probably know what SharePoint is already. And one of the nice things that Microsoft have done with SharePoint Online is they've actually adapted SkyDrive slightly to incorporate what they call SkyDrive Pro. So one of the things is that people often think about with Office 365 in particular is, well, if I want to go to a whole cloud-based service offering, where do I keep my documents? I don't have a file server anymore. So where do I keep, those sort of work-in-progress documents that I want to share around the team? Where do they actually go? So SkyDrive Pro is effectively a slightly different version of SkyDrive. It's installed as part of the Office suite, and what it basically does is it utilizes some of the SharePoint folder structures, but allows you to directly synchronize folders through Windows Explorer to your desktop. So you can drag and drop as you normally do into your file system documents, and they will synchronize up onto effectively a specific area within SharePoint Online. So that's a really useful capability. Some organizations, depending upon how they currently license their Office suite, decide to license Office as well. That's your typical Word, Excel, PowerPoint, as part of the Office suite. What it means is that potentially, rather than having to buy your licenses through open volume, or if you buy them at the retail stores, you don't actually have to buy them as in upfront costs. You can pay for them on a subscription-based basis. You still install the applications today as you do, but it just means that basically your licensing for that can be included in your Office 365 operational expense month by month for your Office 365. So bringing it all together, Office 365 is effectively a complete Office in the cloud, giving you all of those capability. And optionally, as you can see from the left-hand side there, some people also want to wrap in their traditional Office applications as part of the suite from a pricing point of view. Okay, now there are some additional components. So SkyDrive Pro I mentioned is there. Dynamics CRM, which we'll talk about in a moment, and Yammer. Now, I put a note on there that some of these components are separately licensable or have separate pricing considerations. So, for example, Dynamics CRM isn't included as part of the licensing, but it has a separate licensing model, and Yammer does slightly as well. So we'll talk about some of these things as we go through. So for those of you who either have never heard of Yammer or aren't quite sure how to describe it, it's basically your internal social network. So I'm sure everybody's heard of Facebook and knows what Facebook is. Most of you have probably got Facebook accounts, and generally speaking, people use Facebook as a communication vehicle, technology, to be able to communicate with friends and family. You don't generally find people use Facebook in a business context. Some people do, and there's nothing wrong with that, but generally speaking, people try to sort of put a line of separation in between their business life and their personal life. Where Yammer comes in, it's conceptually a similar concept, but what it does is it basically is aimed directly and specifically at the workplace. So in order to get access to Yammer, you basically log in with your email address, and your email address is registered with Yammer, and only people that are on the same domain, i.e. the suffix from the @ sign, will actually be able to get access to the Yammer information. So what we're seeing is a lot of organizations are actually starting to use Yammer. It's not just a case of it's like an instant message chat capability. You can have groups, so you can have little work groups or community type areas. They could be based on projects. They could be based on teams or work groups where people are posting up useful information relating to that particular group that's relevant. As you can see, slightly in the middle of the Yammer screen, just below the update or search box, there's a little icon there that says attach file. So what you can also do is through Yammer is you can actually upload documents. So for example, a salesperson might load up a document in Yammer and say, I've just used this presentation for this particular event or in this particular customer presentation, and I found it worked really well. It addressed these issues, these problems, these challenges, and they can put it up into Yammer. And what that therefore means is that other people, they can go to Yammer and they can type in, I'm looking for a presentation that covers X, and it will actually bring up the search, and the results set will actually find any postings that are related to that, as well as any documents. So Yammer is a really useful, can be a really useful tool in terms of trying to avoid all of that. What today we often do is in organizations, we craft up an email and we send it around to the whole organization, and then everybody replies to everybody, and then someone else replies to everybody, and before you know where you are, your inbox is filled up with potentially information that you're not really that interested in. So instead, so the whole idea behind this is, rather than putting up those generic emails, put it into Yammer, and then people can search for it when it's relevant and appropriate. Now, if you're interested in, I think I've got another slide. So it's basically a private network, and it's for your employees only. So it's your work email address that designates whether you can be part of the Yammer environment or the Yammer team, the Yammer group. So if you're interested in just trying this out, it's really quite easy to do. You can also add it directly through Office 365, and I'll show you that in a little while. But if you literally go to yammer.com and basically sign up, you can get what's called a no charge or a free trial with Yammer that allows you to try it out. You can invite a couple of other work colleagues to it and just try it out and see how it goes to see whether you're getting value and benefit from it. There's multiple interfaces. There's Yammer on a mobile phone. There's Yammer. There's a desktop app, and there's Yammer via a web browser. So it's not as if you only have one interface that you can basically get information through or share information with. Now, if you're wondering why I'm talking about Yammer, I'll actually bring it back to a CRM context in a moment. So that was a little bit about an introduction to CRM, into Office 365 and its capabilities, just to sort of set the playing field. I'll now switch direction a little bit into CRM. So as I've entitled this one, New User Interface, this is basically the new look and feel to Dynamics CRM 2013. So for those of you who are listening that are currently using either CRM 4 or CRM 2011, you'll see that it's quite radically new and different. That whole bar at the top isn't there all the time, in case anybody's wondering. That does actually disappear as soon as I select something from the menu options. That whole menu bar disappears to give me all my real estate back. So all you have open in the entire interface is that top blue bar that goes right across the screen, where in the left-hand side it says Microsoft Dynamics CRM. That's all you see visible from a menu system. So the whole idea is they've moved to a whole new user interface to try and actually give back more real estate. Slightly different look and feel. I'll actually show you in a live environment how this works in a little while. When we open up individual records, this one gives you a little bit more of an idea. If you see the very top line at the top of the screen there, that's all you see. You don't see the left-hand navigation pane. You don't see a ribbon bar anymore at the top. Your navigation around the application or around the records is controlled by effectively little drop-downs that are in the very header of the application bar at the very top. And again, I'll show you that in action in a little while. The one thing I wanted to point out around this particular screen here, if you look front and center to the middle of this record, which happens to be a CRM, in this case a lead record, you'll see some communication. So there's so Ruben has posted, has anyone delivered a desktop value proposition presentation recently? Any killer sales decks will be welcomed. And so what's happened is Melissa has responded saying, here you go, ping me if you want me to run through it. So she's actually, you can't quite see it on there, but just below that where it says, that's actually where she's uploaded a file. Now that's actually Yammer. So when I was talking just now about the fact that someone could post something in Yammer, what I'm posting here, potentially I'm posting something relating to a specific inquiry. This happens to be someone called Jamie Carragher, who's the lead, and I might be looking for something specifically around him or his company. So I'm making the post here. But if I'm part of the Yammer group, I can open up Yammer on my phone, through the web browser, on the desktop app, and all those posts will actually be available for me to view or to see directly through the Yammer interface. So the point here being is that Yammer and CRM are totally integrated from a collaboration perspective. So the nice thing about this is, for example, Those of you who are familiar with CRM will know that to access CRM records, I have to be a CRM user and have a CRM license. So in this case, for example, Ruben is currently logged in. You can see his name in the top right-hand corner, and he's the one that's made the post. Now, Melissa, for example, may not be a CRM user. So what Yammer does, it goes across the entire organization. It's not just restricted to who is in CRM, who is a CRM user, and who has access to certain CRM records. So it actually delivers enterprise-wide collaboration around both CRM and non-CRM users as well. That actually provides a lot of benefit, and also means obviously that you don't have to necessarily go and add a license for every single user for CRM just because you want to utilize Yammer. Now, another thing is, of course, is that today a lot of people use mobile devices. So all the things that we've looked at so far in terms of accessing my email, accessing SharePoint for Office 365, my link communicator, my Office web apps, CRM, all of this is now available on the go, as the phrase is termed. The screenshots I've got here are of the new CRM user interfaces on the mobile devices. So if you are a current CRM user today and you're using 2011, CRM 2013 provides a Windows 8 tablet app available in the Windows Store. It also provides for an iPad app, which is available in the iTunes Store. And then there are mobile phone apps for iOS, Windows Phone, and also Android. So it's covering pretty much the full spectrum. I say pretty much the full spectrum because the only thing that's missing in that suite there is the Android tablet, and Microsoft haven't yet released the Android tablet app at this point in time. But it's something that I'm sure will come down the line in the not too distant future. Now, of course, all of this that I'm highlighting here, CRM, but of course, all of my Office 365 capabilities are also available to me via these devices. So in particular, anyone using a Windows Phone device will know that you get the full, literally, when you log into the phone, it will recognize that you've got an Office 365 account, and by the email address that you've logged in with, and it will actually set it all up for you, including access to your SharePoint document folder as well, and it will also download the link app and configure that to your Office 365 tenant as well. So Microsoft has done a lot to try and make it easy for you, as the headline there says, to stay productive on the go. So really just a quick summary there that pretty much most of the actual applications are accessible. The other thing, of course, is I didn't explicitly put it on this slide. It's kind of hidden away in the top bullet point there, is that multi-browser support. So all your Office 365 applications and also CRM from a CRM perspective, for those of you using CRM online, have multi-browser support. So Safari, Chrome, Firefox, as well as the traditional Internet Explorer. For those of you who are using CRM on-premise, you either have to upgrade to CRM 2013 to take advantage of multi-browser support, or Microsoft did make it available via the CRM 2011 update roll-up 12. If you're using CRM 4, then unfortunately today the only supported browser is Internet Explorer. So let's have a quick look. I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time in the application itself, but I just wanted to sort of show you a few things. Hopefully on my screen you can see that I'm currently logged into what is referred to as the Office 365 Admin Center. So I'm actually logged in as an administrator. Over on the left-hand side, the way it's actually set up is over on the left-hand side is all my key sort of setup, adding users, domains, licensing, all the kind of admin type things. The second column is really focused around service state. So at the moment it's saying that there's no service issues. I don't have any open requests. It also highlights me if there's been any inactive email users, and also from a mail protection point of view, if any emails are being blocked by filtering, those sorts of things. And then specifically in the middle pane is, are there any health issues or planned maintenance around any of the services. Then over on the right-hand side is a series of admin shortcuts and resources that are available to me, and they vary from login to login based on what you see, obviously depending upon your rights. Up at the very top here, I can click on Outlook. Now, if I click on Outlook, what this will do is it will take me straight to basically my Outlook. So this is Outlook Web Access, and it will fire up the Outlook Web Access app directly from within the portal. So I don't have to navigate off anywhere else. In fact, I don't even really have to use Outlook today. So long as I've got my Office 365 login, I can get straight to Outlook. Microsoft has done an incredible job at adding more, making Outlook Web Access more feature-rich and powerful, to a point where you don't actually need to use the full Outlook client if you don't want to. I've also got access to my calendar. So again, in the normal way, I've got access to my people, which is effectively, I guess, a new world definition of contacts. So typically, they're the things you would see in your normal Outlook application: my Outlook, my calendar, my people. I've got access to my Yammer capability. Now this will actually take me to SharePoint. I haven't got Yammer actually set up in here, but if I had, this would actually open up my Yammer account. I just want to show you where you go from within here to set this up, which is why I haven't set it up yet. I have access to my SkyDrive as well. So my SkyDrive is effectively my area. So again, this is think of this like your what potentially was your, this is what's referred to as SkyDrive Pro. So I can have my own personal documents stored up here, and I can share documents within here. I can even follow particular documents. So if I want to see if particular documents are being updated or not, I can actually follow specific documents in specific folders. From a SharePoint point of view, I have sites where I can go to as many sites that I have access to. I can follow sites. So I've got team sites here. I've got public sites. There could be any number of sites. The nice thing is, if I'm looking for a document, I can go in here. I can type in part of a document name or partial name, and it will come up with a list of them within there for me. What I also have, I can go back to the to specifically around the admin area. In the ellipse button here are some additional things. So I can go to office.com, which is my Office web apps, and then also I've got CRM, which is obviously another part of the combination in this particular area. Oops. Let me just try refreshing that again. It's always the way. Things never work when you want them to. Okay. Let me try and go back to the portal. I'll just, oops, if I can type properly. I'll try and go into the CRM area here. Okay, I've just navigated to it via a slightly different path. So one of the things here is that one of the things that's been added to CRM, so if any of you are on CRM Online today, one of the things that's been added is to be able to have multiple CRM instances. So I've only got one here, but you could have multiple. Now they could either be for different aspects in the typical project management lifecycle. So you could have a development environment, a test environment, and a production environment. Alternatively, you could have multiple production or live environments addressing different parts of the business for different purposes and different people. So all I need to do is go to the online instance. I just pick which one I want, and then it'll actually launch CRM for me. So this is now going to, hopefully this time it will launch it by coming through to the instance picker. It will actually launch it for me. Okay, so this has taken me now into CRM. Now, from within here, one of the things that I can do, I'll just kill the welcome screen here, and what I can do now is I can just very quickly. So for those of you who have used CRM before, you'll notice that there is no left-hand navigational pane. So one of the things is that if I wanted to, I mentioned earlier on about Yammer. If you've actually got a Yammer account and you want to integrate it, then all we need to do is drop down to the bottom and put in the Yammer configuration credentials. I won't go through the whole process now because I haven't got a Yammer account set up here, but what I'll do is basically it'll just ask you for your email address and it will log you into the Yammer account. And then when you go through to these areas here, so for example if I go to sales and I go to, click on a list of accounts. So you'll notice I'm just using the navigational area in the top there. When I click on things, that navigational button disappears, just so that I'm always working with a nice clean screen and a set of real estate here. When we set up Yammer and configure Yammer, what happens is all the Yammer feeds will actually come through to the center of the screen here. So you'll notice that says posts. So CRM has natively out of the box an internal, what's referred to as activity feed, where we can do the same kind of thing. We can put posts in. It will automatically track when records are created, when opportunities are won, when leads are converted, those sorts of things. If we do the Yammer configuration, instead of posts, that word will change to Yammer, and the whole of the interface here in the middle will become the Yammer integration. So from a configuration point of view, it's a really quick and easy thing to actually do and to set up. Now, if I just go, I'll see if I can just switch back quickly to the Office 365 portal here, and I go to the admin. Let me go through. Let's go to the main admin section. So I'll just go this way, probably quicker. In the licensing area, if you've got an Office 365 account, in the licensing area is where all my subscriptions sit, and that's what I've currently subscribed to. Down here under Purchase Services, this is where I can add additional services, and we can see here that we can add other capabilities: Exchange Online Protection, Azure Active Directory, Microsoft Dynamics CRM trial, and you can see here Yammer Enterprise is also added. So if you wanted to subscribe to Yammer Enterprise, which you need to be able to fulfill the CRM integration component, is $3 per user license per month in this example here. And then there are other CRM subscriptions because 2013 has introduced some new pricing. We won't go through all the new pricing capabilities today. We can do that another time. But effectively, this is how I just add services to my cart. Okay, now, so that was just a very quick interface to Office 365. The demonstration was really just aimed to try and give you a quick understanding of what, I guess, navigating around the admin portal. I didn't go through adding users, adding additional domains. Now, one of the things is that once you're logged into Office 365, you can click and access all the various services. If you're currently running with Active Directory on-premise, i.e. within your own organization, one of the things is that some organizers want to be able to do is to connect their internal network to the Office 365 network. So in order to do that, we have to what's referred to as federate. We have to connect our Active Directory to effectively our Office 365 account. Now, there's a few steps in the process for doing that. It is actually, some parts of it are relatively straightforward. Actually doing the Office 365 configuration is somewhat easier. The key thing is in this process, what we have to do is we have to set up an Active Directory Federation server within our organization. Or you can actually set it up as part of an Azure service, a Windows Azure service. So what that does is it exposes part of our Active Directory to the effectively to the internet, and therefore allows users to be able to hit the ADFS server to be able to use their native on-premise credentials, i.e. their domain name and their password, and they use the same sign-on to access all of the Office 365 capabilities. And one of the things that we can add to that portfolio is Dynamics CRM. Now, there are some restrictions around what we can federate from a Dynamics CRM perspective in terms of how your Office 365 account has been set up. So it's best to check with who's currently maintaining and looking after your Office 365 environment, or which partner you're working with, just to ensure that you can actually federate CRM and Office 365 at the same time. So there's a few steps that we have to do to establish single sign-on. In terms of preparing for it, we have to set up what's called Active Directory Federation Services. That's basically a Windows server with the server settings set to Federation Services. Now, we have to actually put in, putting a single line bullet point in there makes it look and sound like it's really easy. Unfortunately, there is some complexity around that, and it's something, obviously you're exposing your Active Directory to the internet, so there are some very prescriptive processes and steps, and there's lots of information on the Microsoft website around installing ADFS, as it's referred to, and you actually have to get some properly signed digital certificates. You can't use internally self-signed certificates in order to facilitate that. But once your ADFS environment has been set up, connecting it to the actual Office 365 tenant is actually pretty straightforward. We basically go into, as you may remember, on the left-hand side of the Office 365 portal is a button you click on that says Domains. You add your domain name or names if you're holding multiple domain names. You then verify those through your domain registrar so that Microsoft knows that it's actually you that's actually doing that. And then we actually have to run a routine via the ADFS server that's referred to as directory synchronization. And what that does is it syncs the set of domain users that you want up to the Office 365 portal. So effectively, you don't have to manually go and create all your users in Office 365. DIRSync, as it's often referred to, or directory synchronization, happens automatically as part of the federation between your ADFS server and Office 365. After that, we're just basically in a verification and management process for single sign-on. Now, there are some other things that we have to think about and have a look at doing. In terms of preparing Active Directory, we've got to make sure that everybody has a unique user principal name. So everybody's got to have a unique login name, and they must be similar in setup. The UPNs can only contain letters, numbers, periods, dashes, and underscores, no other characters. I'm just picking a couple of these items out on here. And also, you can't select a non-public domain. So, for example, if your domain, your AD domain ends in .local or .internal, you won't be able to sync it. It has to be a public domain, so a .com, a .com.au, or a .org, something like that. So it has to be registered and accessible publicly. So what happens is, when I hit Office 365 and I type in my email address, as this screenshot's trying to show me, this is just a slightly older interface to Office 365. The sign-in screen just looks slightly different. What happens is, as soon as I typed in my email address, Office 365 will basically recognize the domain name, the @esavvy.com.au, and it will say, I'm not responsible for authenticating you. So it will flip me to my ADFS server. As you can see down the bottom of this screen here, it says you are now required to sign in at, in this case, at esavvy.com.au. And so what then happens is I get this screen coming up, which is coming off my ADFS server. So my ADFS.esavvy.net or whatever you want to, or whatever yours is called. I will then just type in my normal username and password as if I was inside the company connecting to the domain. As soon as we type in my username and password, that will be verified with Active Directory in the normal way, and it will issue me with a token. That token will then be passed to Office 365 automatically, and it will log me in. So I won't be required to actually log into my Office 365 separately from how I access my internal network. So we've just about sort of hit time. I apologize if we've gone a couple of minutes over. What we'll do is anybody who's actually asked any questions, will so that we're not overrunning too much and keeping you from your afternoons, what we'll do is we'll follow up on any emails with via email with you directly, and some explanation around any questions that have been asked. There is a survey. It's only 4 questions. So when you exit out of GoToMeeting, you'll be prompted to fill out the survey. So I thank you for your time and participation, and I hope that at least you've got a couple of things out of the session this afternoon, and I wish you a happy afternoon and every success with your Office 365 and CRM. Thank you very much.